welcome to my very first YouTube video. Appreciate everybody clicking in. I figured I'd start by explaining my intention behind this hop over to YouTube. As many of you know, Instagram is my sole central platform, and we've had tremendous growth this year. We started 2025 with around 40,000 followers, and now we're well over 200,000. It's been insane. Even in the last 4 months, I think I'm up 120,000 followers. But I feel that I've done a very poor, very insufficient job of creating a tangible, concrete community, of creating channels for people to interact and to connect, for there to be genuine discussion and conversation around books and literature and ideas. And that's really where my focus is at right now. Going into the new year, we want to make some strides on that. So I think the long form content on YouTube opens up interesting possibilities to, create more substance, more depth behind what we're trying to share, what we're trying to advocate for with this bookshop business. And in conjunction with the YouTube channel, we're going to be putting a lot of effort and a lot of energy behind the creation of a Discord server. I think that is the primary means of creating these tangible channels for people to interact and connect and discuss, share book recommendations, share ideas, share writing. That's really what I feel a major impetus towards. And Instagram is great. It's allowed us to really, grow in ways we wouldn't have anticipated, but at the same time, it's shallow. I think that the reels are so constraining. 90-second time increments are very restrictive. I have been lucky enough in the last few years to correspond and to message with thousands and thousands of readers around the globe, and it's been incredible. It's by far one of my favorite aspects of running this page and running this bookshop operation. And I want to create a platform that allows other people to interact and to form a community around these great books and these vital ideas that we all care so much about. I find it extraordinary how instantaneous a connection is made between people simply by virtue of liking the same book or liking the same writer or having similar ideas. It's an instant connection, and that's what I think that revolving on Instagram and elsewhere can really help to facilitate. And so that's my intention behind focusing on long form content here on YouTube and focusing on this Discord channel. So that is certainly going to entail some book clubs. That's a project that we've been working on for a long time. I have some really exciting ideas about that we really hope to materialize in the new year, potentially even working with particular publishers. For a startup company like us, we can think of no better partners than established publishers to try and grow and really increase our outreach when it comes to advocating for literacy and for great literature. So we really hope that people will be excited about the idea of a Discord server. I have no experience with it whatsoever, but we're going to really try to put that together and create these channels for conversation. Okay, for all of my bibliophile people, I promise that we're going to get to some books here momentarily. In fact, I've been stockpiling and holding on to one of the best collections that I've ever acquired, specifically for the purposes of showcasing everything in this video. But first, I wanted to give everybody a glimpse of all of our new merch. We've got a bunch of stuff coming out. We've been collaborating with a big screen printer here in Lincoln. It's very important to me to do everything locally. So this is all in production. We're hoping to have it first week of December, right in time for the holidays. Mason's been working on designs for the last month or so, and we're super excited about it. I've never done anything like this before. I've only ever sold books, so this is going to be a little bit of an experiment, but really hope everybody likes the designs and people will hopefully be excited about repping Revolving Books and showcasing our little small business with some great reading themed merchandise. So I'll flip the camera around and give everybody the first peek at all the new stuff. Okay, starting out here, we have the very first t-shirt right here. We've got 2 t-shirt designs. This is the first one. You can see the front, very simple with just the logo, and then on the back, some familiar guys here. Couple new ones introduced as well, the reading themed animals. We've got the donkey and the hen house that we've obviously printed bookmarks with, but now we've got the owl and the cat as well. So that's shirt number 1. We've got shirt number 2 right here. This is kind of the main shirt. We've got a couple hundred of these being printed. Read good books, pretty generalized. You know, this is kind of just the core of our philosophy right here. Read good books. And you can see up in the corner there, just a little Revolving Books icon. Super simple. These are going to be printed on a really high quality ivory white blank. So didn't want to cheap out on anything. And then this is kind of a pastel colorway. There's got a little bit of a fade texture to it, but we have high expectations for these. I think these are going to come out really, really well. So hopefully people are excited about that one. Read good books, a little play on the RGB there as well. And then we've got hats. So this is like a khaki beige snap buckle back, so it'll be adjustable. And then this really nice blue there, embroidered onto the khaki. We don't have a ton of these being made. You have to meet a certain minimum quantity in order to have something produced. So I think we've got 36 hats coming. I really just wanted one for myself, but we'll have a few extras as well if anybody might be interested. And again, that's going to be embroidered on the hat there. And then another piece of embroidery, we've got this beautiful cobalt blue crew neck sweatshirt. So this is going to be, again, really high quality crew neck sweatshirt, perfect winter weather wear, cozy reading on the couch or going to the coffee shop, whatever you might be doing. And again, this white logo here on the front there, that's going to be embroidered onto the sweatshirt. So really high quality. This screen printer that we're working with in Lincoln is tremendous operation that they have. So super exciting. We've got I can't remember, 50 of the crew neck sweatshirts coming. So, and then finally, well, we've also got tote bags. I don't have a mock-up of the tote bag. The tote bag is going to be with this Read Good Books design though. But this is a mock-up of our sticker sheet. So you can see 6 stickers here. These are going to be printed on a really high quality matte finish sticker sheet. These could very well end up being the best sellers. These are going to be the cheapest product, obviously, but 6 really great designs. Mason's been working on these. I'm just thrilled with how these came out. And yeah, so 6 stickers. We'll have a lot of these. We're printing quite a few of these. So if anybody's interested in slapping a Revolving Book sticker on anything they have, then these will be perfect for that. So very exciting. Flip it around again. So like I said, we're hoping to have that early December. We'll be doing a lot of marketing, really trying to push it in time for the holidays. So you all can look forward to that, and hopefully everybody's excited about the prospect of repping some Revolving Books merch. Okay, so by far the question that I get the most about this bookshop operation that I do is, where do I get all these books? And that's a great question. You know, sometimes I'm reluctant to divulge sources and methods, but the truth is I just look for books anywhere that I can possibly find them. So that entails obviously thrift stores. There's one library sale in Nebraska that I hit, you know, once a month. Now that I've been able to grow a little bit more of a presence here in Lincoln, I've had people reach out to me personally asking if I want to come take a look at their collection, estate sales, stuff of that nature. that's obviously been a humongous advantage in this trade. But truly, over the years, I have just acquired books wherever I can find them. The primary means of that is definitely thrifting. I thrift religiously. And it's somewhat staggering how much incredible stuff that I've been able to find. I think, really I just look between Lincoln and between Omaha. I've made trips to Kansas City and St. Louis, and I go up to Montana once a year and probably buy a lot of books. But here in Nebraska, Lincoln and Omaha are very literary cities. The Midwest in general has a large concentration of literacy and universities, and so there's just constantly new books coming in and out. And Lincoln is somewhat exceptional in the sense that we're like 350,000 people here in Lincoln, and we have 3 used bookstores, independent, small-time, mom-and-pop type used bookstores. And that's, from what I understand, kind of an anomalous situation. A lot of places don't have that kind of concentration of used bookshops in a town of this size. A lot of my customers around the country rely on me to feed them with good quality used books because they live in a city or a town that simply doesn't have a good used bookstore. So anyways, that's basically the gist of where I find everything, how I get everything. And that leads me into one of my recent acquisitions, which was in August. A friend of mine, his mom is a public school teacher here in Lincoln, and they have a little monthly dinner get-together with a bunch of the teachers, retired and current. And one of the teachers at this dinner had been mentioning how they were moving and they weren't sure what to do with all their books. And so my friend's mom mentioned me. An excellent example of how important word of mouth is for a small business, because that led me into this incredible collection. It's an older couple, retired, and they just had a lifetime's worth of books. And I got their contact information. At one point I was calling with the husband, and he had been mentioning how they were longtime collectors of New Directions, of Black Sparrow Press. And when I heard that on the phone, I was just, obviously very excited. I was like, this is going to be another generational score. And so essentially they had already moved out of their house entirely. All that was left was all of the books, a few thousand, boxed up and everything. I had to unbox everything and sort it all into donation piles and into piles that I wanted to keep for myself and for the shop, obviously. And so I probably was at this house, luckily they just gave me free access and I was in and out at my own timing, and I was probably at this house for 25 hours over the course of a weekend, just sifting through this entire collection. And a lot of these books have already made their way onto the website. A lot of y'all have purchased some of them, in fact, but I ended up keeping probably around 60-ish volumes for myself, and that's what I'm going to showcase here. For me as a collector and as an avid reader, this was just an extraordinary collection. One of the best that I've ever seen. And some of the stuff that I was able to find and that I, am keeping for myself is stuff that I've been on the lookout for years. So I figured I would just go through and kind of show, a lot, these are vintage paperbacks and vintage rare editions and stuff, incredible covers. And so I thought it'd be interesting for people to just see, all the stuff that I picked out here for myself. Amazing signet copy there. I'm starting with the mass markets, which anybody who knows me knows that the mass markets are my bread and butter. These vintage paperbacks, these mass market paperbacks that used to be printed for really just a few cents or for a couple bucks. Nothing like this exists anymore. A couple of the big time publishers still put out mass market-esque type books that you can find at Barnes & Noble or something, but they're just nowhere even near comparable. Look at this. This is a tremendously rare copy of the Sendrars right here. I've seen this go for $40 or $50, and I would be tempted to sell it, but somebody bought my copy of the NYRB of it because I listed that on the website and kept this Penguin Modern Classics edition. Any black cat. He mentioned the husband was also a collector of Grove Press. I mean, that's music to my ears, really. So there's some of these, vintage paperbacks, but I'm the mass markets are really one of my personal projects, or something that I care very much about, because I think that this mass printed, and cheap, high quality literature stuff, those types of editions have just become extinct. And that's what makes these all the more rare, all the more scarce, because the supply of them is just diminishing every single year. I mean, it's tragic to think about, but every single year there are collections of this nature that don't make it into other people's hands. They just go to the landfill, or they go to the pulpers, and it's really a shame, but that's what makes these mass markets particularly rare. You can see here, I've still got a whole bunch of New Directions paperbacks that are going to make their way onto the site early December. We're going to do another big live stream and a big drop. It's going to be awesome. But I kept, I'm a big collector of New Directions as well, and I kept this handful for myself. You can see some really tremendous finds I've been looking for. The Nicanor Para anti-poems forever. Raymond Queneau, I've read a handful of his, had not yet found this one. Tremendous find. Really fantastic stuff. New Directions, best publisher in the game, in my opinion. Would love to work with them if they see this video somehow. But back on the mass market front, I just think it's such a powerful idea to be able to, put this literature in the hands of so many people. And if you look at publishing numbers from back in the day, like in the 50s and the 60s and stuff, these mass markets were just doing insane numbers. I mean, I know there's been a whole reading renaissance in the last few years with book talk and post-COVID, uptick in reading and stuff, but even still, what stuff sells nowadays compared to what it used to sell, popular novels, or how many copies Catch 22 or To Kill a Mockingbird, they sold hundreds of millions of copies. And I feel like nowadays it's you can get on the New York Times bestsellers list and you'd sell 1,000 copies of something. I don't know, but I would love to see really high quality literature become ubiquitous, and that's what I think people hopefully appreciate about my efforts in this bookshop that I run, because I'm trying to sell stuff, for as economical as I can, and certainly compared to Barnes & Noble or buying new books. I mean, I do buy new books, obviously, for my own personal interests and reading curriculum, and it is an expensive hobby. I mean, an absolutely expensive hobby. I saw one video of a guy talking about, he's in college and can't really afford buying new books and wants to go to Barnes & Noble and pick up a copy of Mice and Men from Penguin, and it's $16 for Of Mice and Men, a 90-page novella that's just, a couple hours worth of labor. Speaking of which, well, this is the guy right here. But new books is really just kind of a racket. I think it's different if you're buying from one of the top tier independent publishers, because those are so rare, and they're only becoming rarer. I think of New Directions or Charco Press or Archipelago. These are tremendous publishers doing well worth spending your money towards to support their efforts of bringing this literature into translation, or just keeping the trade alive. But I could go on that tangent for a long time, I suppose. I would say, I have many thousands of books in my library, and 97% of them I have gotten used secondhand. It's really only in the last couple years that I've started, really buying new books. It's stuff that is just fits into my reading interests. Stuff like, for instance, from Verso, stuff on the political and economic and sociological fronts, where I'm not going to find a used copy of it at my local bookstore or anything, or certainly not at the thrift stores. That's a lot of my thrifting that's what enables me to find these vintage copies, is because this is what does trickle down into the thrift stores. Oh, check this out. I haven't even... I want to keep these, I can't do them justice, but this is all from that one collection. I mean, incredible stuff. Full, complete set of the Diary of Anais Nin. Let's see, this is, or at least it's 5 volumes plus this photographic supplement. And, just as a collector, I mean, how beautiful is that? I don't know if I can justify holding on to them, because I just know that I'm not going to be able to get around to actually reading them. And I know people would kill to have a chance at buying that. These, I didn't even realize, I mean, these Newt Hampsons, wow, I haven't even looked these up. I wouldn't think about selling them, because I'm very interested in his works. But really, I was super surprised to find those. We'll just keep on running down the line. A lot of these are, from writers that I've read. J.G. Ballard, terrific. This is from Lincoln City Library's copy of Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. I would like to read that. Collected Works of Andrei Platonov. I don't know if this is super rare or not. But regardless, very cool find. Some more obscure Russian literature. Let's see. Oh, look at this. This is Kazakhstan. Probably my only Kazakhstan literature. And just look at that cover. I've read a play of this person's, and it was really interesting. And this is just phenomenal. Let's see. Oh, we've got great vintage copy of The Laxness. I saw a video the other day of Cillian Murphy talking about reading this. I've heard that, I've heard people speak that this is just a masterpiece. Would love to get around to that. Nobel Prize winner that I've never ever seen a physical copy of his in person, and then I find this one. I think this is his first novel, in fact. Incredible finds. The Paul Bowles Tangier Diaries. Paul Bowles is really cool. This is going to be on my TBR pretty soon. This is The Party of Eros, Radical Social Thought, and the Realm of Freedom. And this is a lot about 60s counterculture and Norman O'Brown, Herbert Marcuse, stuff that I'm very, very much interested in. There were a whole bunch of these North Point Press volumes. These are sometimes difficult to track down. That one looks interesting. A lot of them have come onto the website as well. And I've got another drop coming soon. Early December, we're gonna do another live stream. And the first live stream was a lot of fun, very successful. We sold almost $4,000 worth of books that night. And so I'll show y'all in a minute. In fact, I've been setting stuff aside for the next live stream. Gonna be another huge crop of amazing books that I'm gonna be giving away to people in everybody's orders. So here's a little stack of Grove Press that I got, and you can understand now, I'm getting to the end here, of just how incredible of a collection this was for me to come into. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this one. I have a paperback of this. This is the American First Edition. Also heard that this is really extraordinary. Another Nobel Prize winner. I just don't know that I'll get around to it anytime soon, you know. It is what it is. That's the perils of this trade that I'm in. It's like, I have to look for books for a living, and my TBR, you know, my piles are just continuously growing because I find so much incredible stuff. And it's like, wow, well, I have books that I need to read, but it'll take me 25 years to get through everything that I currently have. There's Skorvecki. Did he win a Nobel? He might have. Czech, I believe. And these are like detective stories. They seem fantastic. Let me get a couple more. Okay, here's a few that I have read already from this same collection. I've made videos about them. In fact, The Tunnel, Sabato, another Sabato. This is an imminent read for me. The Lispector, Hour of the Star, first American edition, I believe. You know, this is a $50 volume. I'm not going to sell it, obviously. I read this one somewhat recently, Dictionary of the Khazars, by a Serbo-Croat writer. This was really interesting. Some kind of Umberto Eco vibes to it. Pretty interesting stuff, though. So yeah, that's everything that I kept from this collection. A lot of the rest of it has either already been put onto the website or is shortly going to be put onto the website. So you can look forward to that.